supply. We're facing constraints here at home with our prices. But move further east, and you have China's recent moves in terms of COVID. So they recently locked down, like almost 2 weeks ago, they locked down the city of Shenzhen, which is in China the second biggest port hub in China. And the thing about this is that this city we rely a lot of it for our electronic goods, especially consumer electronics. So you think about iPhones, think about chips for computer parts, or circuit boards and computer cables, and even Toyota cars. And they closed down the city, and at first we didn't really know like for how long. So the question was like, okay, if they shut down this port, it's going to create supply disruptions, supply chain disruptions, and that ultimately means higher prices for us as consumers, for the average American worker, and all because they had a tiny COVID outbreak. But the thing about this, oh yeah, and also the New York Times was reporting on this, and they said that the container rates are rising as ships wait for many hours at ports because they couldn't unload because of COVID restrictions. And so even though the lockdown has lifted, like you still have to consider that the prices did go up for those containers, and I think that's going to be passed down to consumers, and we're going to feel that price increase. Hopefully it's not by much. Maybe we won't necessarily feel it, but I think what's concerning about this is that with Omicron and COVID spreading so rapidly, like what's to say that the Chinese won't keep doing this, won't keep locking down cities and all this stuff, and create more supply chain disruptions, which means more higher prices for us and all that stuff. Which brings me to my next point: our over-reliance with China, and I think our over-reliance with China has led to hasn't been a good deal for the average American worker, and we need to really start considering diversifying and changing our supply chain. Like we're relying way too much on China. When they locked down, Apple announced that they would stop production in that city, and it delayed the release of some of their products, and that was just for 1 week. And so as we move forward, I think we really need to move away from China and create our own supply chains, and especially considering that with China we don't have the same values, we don't have the same geopolitical goals. They have different domestic policies, and the future between us and China is very shaky, and to say the least. And we're not particularly friends with them. We see them as a rival. So if we continue to have so much of our supply chain in China, this will only mean that they'll be able to flex their economic muscle and make us feel economic pain, and that makes them stronger on the geopolitical stage because they can play around with this stuff for us to give them concessions, diplomatic concessions. And the world is changing the balance of power, and I think we need to really address that.
And then to kind of touch on a point there, supply chain, obviously we've been having like a long time problem in the past year, I would say, with the supply chain. And I think it's very telling how they shut down a port or they shut down something for some period of time, and who is watching. And exactly that impact that causes. So don't you think that it's kind of funny? I know that there is situations that do happen and they do shut down for real reasons, but I also think it's kind of hinting on let's see. Right now they know that they can play games because of everything that's going on and how they don't take the United States seriously. So I think that it's also a telling game. I think it's also that they're doing things kind of calculated. The whole world is watching. Yeah. And at this point, in time and in history, with everything that's going on, and just because they don't take the US as seriously as we've seen in Saudi Arabia, as we've seen, in Russia with Putin, everything is very telling, and I think everything makes a point. in this day and age. So them shutting down this port and causing this problem for us, and how we overly rely on them for our supply chain problems, shows a lot. And just like how we can't even get our own oil either, you know? So I think it's just like accumulation of things that are happening, and they're happening with purpose, and the world is watching.